Welcome to the Service Game, where we serve you and serve starts the story. I'm your host, IBJ, and in today's episode, I will be talking about the Madrid Open. Before we begin, I do want to apologize for the sound quality, so instead of recording from the studio, which I normally do, I'm actually recording from my apartment, which is why the sound might be a little bit funky. But yeah, let's get right into today's episode. Welcome to the first segment, the toss. So for this segment, there's two main pieces of news that I want to talk about. The first one being Kei Nishikori, who is the first man from Asia to reach a Grand Slam final, and he had his best career high ranking was world number 4. So he actually announced his retirement at the end of the season. And this is a really sad news because he's pretty much loved across the tennis world, and a lot of players such as Naomi Osaka have posted on their stories congratulating him on his fantastic career. So yeah, that's just a piece of news. I have a article from The Athletic. If you guys want to go check it out, please feel free to do so. It's linked in my show notes. And the other piece of news I want to talk about is Jack Draper, who will miss the rest of the clay season with a right knee tendon injury. And because of this, he will likely drop out of the men's tennis top 100. And this is definitely such a devastating blow for both the tennis tour, and for him, especially since Carlos Alcaraz, who is just like one of obviously the big two right now, is not competing at the French Open. So there's just like a double blow to the entire just like field, I guess. But I think this is also a devastating setback for Draper because 12 months ago he actually reached the final here at Madrid, and which the Madrid Open is an 1,000 tournament, so it's the level that's just below the Grand Slams. And he also achieved his career high ranking of world number 4 soon after that, but now he's going to drop outside of the world top 100, which is definitely a devastating blow. But I think because he said that his knee injury is still, like, he's still in recovery from his knee injury, sort of on a similar note with Alcaraz, I think it's definitely more important to prioritize healing first before getting into a Grand Slam, and just like playing with an injured knee might have consequences on his career more long term compared to skipping out on a Grand Slam.
Moments that can become career-building, career-defining, knocking off the world number 1 to earn your spot in your first WTA 1000 semifinal. 10:38 p.m. on Tuesday, April 28, 2026. Mark it down for Hailey Baptiste.
And that is the sound of the number 30th seed Hailey Baptiste, who defeated the world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka by saving 6 match points in the Madrid quarterfinal. Welcome to the hit. So this match was definitely one of the matches of the year so far, and I suggest you guys, if you guys have time, to watch the match in full, but if you don't, please go check out the highlights, because this was one fantastic match. And I think something really impressive about this is that Sabalenka is known for her tiebreak record. She's known for having a record of 25-0 when playing a tiebreak. And for those of you guys who need a reminder, a tiebreak is when you play to 7 to decide the winner of the entire set. And Baptiste actually saved 6 match points, as I said before, and all of his match point saves, except for the last one, is her actually just hitting winners instead of like Sabalenka hitting unforced errors. So I think that's something really impressive. And also, I kind of want to point out Baptiste's like one-handed slice shot. I think that really caught Sabalenka off guard, and I think I've seen somewhere that a lot of people sort of not compared, but Baptiste has a similar playing style to Roger Federer, just from the way that she's really effortless when she's striking the ball, and her just one-handed whip forehand is also an incredible shot. And this was actually a rematch a few months ago, so they played in Indian Wells, and that was definitely on a hard court, so the conditions are a little bit different. But a few months ago, Sabalenka easily dismissed Baptiste, but this time I think Baptiste really just showed the world that she is an incredible player and she is extremely talented. I think we've all known that, but it's just she hasn't had like a breakthrough match like this, but this is definitely a match because she beat the world number 1 that will sort of just like thrust her into the spotlight. And she has this mindset that she talked about how just even if she's losing a tennis match, she's going to play in a way that will help her improve. And I think that's a really valuable mindset. And despite losing to Mira Andreeva in the next round, I think this tournament is definitely a highlight for her, and she will remember this match for the rest of her career. The second match I want to talk about is the Madrid Open final, which featured the number 26 seed Marta Kostyuk, who defeated the number 9th seed Mira Andreeva with a score of 6-3 and 7-5. So this is actually Kostyuk's first 1,000 level title, and with this win, she will achieve the new career high ranking of number 15th. And I do think that it's such a shame that this is her first WTA 1,000 title, because I truly do think that she deserves a lot of title. I think like her level of playing can be sustained at this high level. And however, I do want to say that Andreeva's variety of shots, especially her drop shots, I think are improving significantly. I know this year hasn't been ideal for Andreeva, especially just with her whole mental situation of her. Sometimes like she has the ability of challenging players that are ranked higher than her, but when she's playing against someone who people expect her to win, she often struggles. And even though this sort of happened in this match as well, I think there was this one point that she played with a drop shot in the first set that was amazing, but also another point in the second set where Andreeva, I think, was down 4-5 was also an incredible point. But I think one thing to point out is both players in this match had incredible backhands. I think they both preferred their backhands to their forehands, and their defense is incredible. Both of their footwork to get to the ball is just absolutely masterclass. There was this one point in the first set where Kostyuk played to break. I think she was leading 3-2, and that was an incredible shot. It was just persistence from Andreeva, defense from Andreeva, and she sort of kind of turned, like she stayed calm, Kostyuk, in this situation, and she managed to win this point after just constantly trying to win the point on the offensive side, and she finally did it. And yeah, it was incredible. In the end of the entire match, she celebrated with a backflip, which was a really interesting celebration. And yeah, I'm just really happy for her for this title.
It's a big-time finish.
Rafael, Jodar.
His rise continues.
7-6, 4-6, 6-1.
And that is the sound of Rafael Jodar, who defeated João Fonseca with a score of 7-6, 4-6, and 6-1. I think I have not talked about Jodar so far in this podcast, but I really, really want to talk about Jodar because I think even though both Fonseca and Jodar are categorized sort of as like this ball striker that just hit the ball super, super hard. I think something that differs Jodar from Fonseca is they have kind of different power in a way. So I feel like Jodar's power is more effortless. Like when he's hitting the ball, he doesn't have this huge windup. It's just every time he hits the ball just comes back really, really fast. Compared to Fonseca, I think especially when he played that match against Rublev a few years ago, that sort of made him really popularized in the tennis world. You can really tell when he's about to unleash like a really, really hard forehand. But with Jodar, it's sort of like all of his forehand and backhand has the same power to it. And however, even though I think this Jodar definitely, like whoever draws him at the French Open is going to have such a hard time, but I think he also needs to work on his ability to follow up an incredible performance. So after winning the first set, he played, frankly, just a really bad game in the start of the second set, which caused him to lose the second set. But to be honest, he did manage to win the third, and he composed himself to win the third. But I just think that overall, he needs to be more consistent and just play at that high level. And I don't even know if he's ready to play a best of 5 set match yet. I know Fonseca had to take some time to get used to Grand Slam because Grand Slam matches are longer. But yeah, I can't wait to see how he performs at Roland Garros, even though he likely will be seeded. So for those of you guys who need a reminder, being seeded means that in the earlier rounds, because he's going to be, like, he's ranked top in the world, he's not going to be playing against someone that's ranked higher than him, but rather just some other players that don't have a seeding, so other players that are ranked outside of the top, like, 25. So, yeah. And the second match I want to talk about is Alexander Blockx, who defeated the 12th seed Casper Ruud with a score of 6-4, 6-4. So this was such a breakout run for Blockx. So in this tournament, he has beaten 4 seeded players in a row and is now up to the world 35 in the live ranking. And he also took out 3 of the seeded players in straight sets, them being Cerundolo, Felix Auger-Aliassime, and Casper Ruud. And all 3 of these players are fantastic clay court players. So I guess it kind of also just shows that it's not like he's playing against players who are just like good on hard courts, but all of these 3 players are great at clay courts as well. And the point I want to sort of shine a light on is the slice volley Blockx hit in the final game of the second set. It was such a fantastic slice. I think the way he hit it, he sort of like stretched his body out to his right and sort of reached to the ball where the ball was just going down like past the net, and it created this really nice sideways spin. I really suggest you guys go look at it. It's such a short point, but I think it was just a fantastic point. But yeah, I think that's all for the hit, and we'll take a break and we'll come back with the follow-through. Welcome to the follow-through. So in terms of the matches that are coming up, we have the men's final for Madrid today at 11 with Zverev versus Sinner. And by today, I mean on Sunday. So by the time my episode comes out, you guys will know the result of this match. But I do have Sinner beating Zverev. I think this is pretty evident. I think Zverev just has overall a problem against Sinner. So please, by the time my episode comes out, we'll know if I'm right or not. And the Rome Open, which is the last tournament before Roland Garros, is happening on the 7th. So next episode, we will be talking about Rome. And yeah, now let's get into our fun fact. So I didn't know this, but the tennis courts before 1875 were actually shaped like an hourglass instead of a rectangle. I left a link on Reddit about like what a court back then looked like. Just let me know your thoughts in the comments because it's such an interesting looking court, and I think there's definitely like different ways to play on this court. But yeah, subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, rate my show if you're listening on other streaming platforms. It really helps out a lot. Vote in the poll down below what your favorite Grand Slam is. So there are Australian Open, Roland Garros, which is in Paris. Australian Open takes place in Melbourne, Wimbledon, and US Open, which is in New York. So comment down below also why it is your favorite Grand Slam tournaments. And comment or DM me ideas for my second serve. Yeah, that's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Let the serves continue, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.